Dr. Kaela Archer jolted awake to a suffocating sensation of dread, her breath shallow and ragged as panic gripped her chest like a tightening vice. The familiar hum of the Eventide, once a comforting backdrop to her voyages, was gone, replaced by a cavernous, unnatural silence that seemed alive, shifting and breathing around her. Subtle, unidentifiable whispers rippled through her consciousness, like murmurs from forgotten dimensions, threading their way just beneath the edge of her awareness. The sensation was like standing on the threshold of an immense, unknowable abyss, where time and logic had begun to fray. Cold sweat slicked her skin as her pulse pounded in her ears, amplifying the gnawing anxiety that clawed at her thoughts. The low illumination in her quarters flickered with erratic surges, casting elongated shadows that danced along the walls in a grotesque pantomime. Each movement of light created serpentine patterns that slithered across the metallic surfaces, as if mocking the very notion of stability in physics. Every breath felt weighted, as though the air itself had grown viscous and charged, humming beneath her skin in a frequency her mind instinctively recoiled from. She struggled upright, her limbs stiff, trembling against an unseen force that pressed upon her body with a suffocating alien gravity. Her eyes darted across the shimmering environment, the walls no longer firm but undulating softly, like the surface of a disturbed pond stretched across dimensions. Even her thoughts trembled on the brink of dissolution, assailed by intangible forces that wove through the room like invisible tendrils, alive, searching, insidious. They tugged at her sense of self, probing with delicate precision, loosening the boundaries of memory and identity. For a terrifying instant, Kaela felt her awareness stretch thin, as if her mind were being rewritten strand by strand, her past dissolved into static. It was not just fear she felt, but the encroaching certainty that her very essence was being studied, dissected, and slowly, purposefully undone. She struggled upright, limbs stiff and trembling, every movement a laborious act against the unseen pressure weighing down upon her. Her eyes darted around the quarters, struggling to make sense of the warping environment. The metallic surfaces now shimmered with a translucent quality, as though reality itself had become an unstable membrane, undulating gently like the surface of a disturbed pond. Even the air felt thick and viscous, charged with an oppressive energy that seemed to hum beneath her skin, vibrating at frequencies that her mind instinctively rejected. Kaela's stomach churned, and for a moment, she feared that her own thoughts might unravel, pulled apart by the intangible forces permeating the room. The Eventide, an advanced Federation exploration vessel, was now suspended mid-quantum jump, trapped in a dimension Kaela could scarcely comprehend, a liminal place she would later call the Innerself. Her mind, usually a bastion of clarity, was clouded by a nauseating dread. Gathering her resolve, she stepped into the corridor, instantly recoiling from what she saw. The hallways twisted impossibly, metal panels shifting as though alive, pulsing gently with an unnatural rhythm. Lights flickered erratically, casting eerie shadows. She moved cautiously, her heart hammering. The intercom crackled, and a distorted voice murmured something indecipherable. As she progressed through the distorted corridors, Kaela stumbled upon a scene that struck her to the core. Captain Rhys Vallon, once a pillar of resolve and command, was now grotesquely fused into the ship's command console. His torso had become one with the interface, flesh and circuitry intertwined in a seamless, nightmarish merger of biology and machine. Strands of organic tissue stretched from his shoulders into the wiring, pulsating slowly with every flicker of system energy. His eyes, wide and glassy, radiated both awareness and agony, locked in a state of silent pleading. His mouth opened in stuttering gasps, exhaling fragments of desperate warnings that collapsed into static before they could fully form. They're inside us, Kaela, he finally managed, his voice trembling and distorted. The jump, it's their trap. We didn't jump through space. We jumped through something else. They're inside us, Kaela, he whispered. The jump is their trap. Navigator Eli Cortez sat transfixed before a cascade of navigation screens, their displays awash with nonsensical, shifting constellations and recursive geometries that defied comprehension. His eyes were vacant and glassy, locked onto the ever-morphing data streams. His lips moved silently, murmuring inaudible words that seemed more like prayers or equations from a forgotten language than coherent speech. On occasion, his head would tilt abruptly, as though listening to some voice Kaela could not hear, his fingers twitching over the console without touching it. Meanwhile, deep in engineering, Zara Qasim paced in frantic, erratic circles. Her eyes were bloodshot, her uniform torn, and her voice cracked with desperation as she screamed fragmented phrases. It's feeding. It's learning from us. It's not the ship anymore. Her hands clawed at the bulkheads, as if trying to peel back the metal to reveal something hidden beneath. It's rewriting us, rewriting the laws, she shrieked, her mind teetering on the edge of collapse. Each scream echoed down the ship's corridors like an omen, vibrating with the raw frequency of terror made flesh. Kaela's mind raced, sifting through every fragment of knowledge she had ever studied. She recalled obscure warnings buried in centuries-old astrophysical texts, cryptic references to quantum anomalies and entities that lurked not in space or time, but in the inner self between them. Scholars had long debated their validity, often dismissing such notions as myth, artifacts of long-range sensor noise, or hallucinations suffered during failed jumps. But now, in the face of the twisted reality unfolding around her, those forgotten theories took on the weight of prophecy. She understood the truth with terrifying clarity. These were no mere anomalies. They were predators of perception, beings who inhabited the quantum seams of reality like parasites, waiting to latch onto vessels that dared cross too close to their realm. The Eventide had not simply malfunctioned. It had been ensnared, drawn into a trap as old as the stars themselves. Determined, Kaela approached the jump drive chamber, each step an ordeal against the crushing sense of disorientation and dread pressing in on all sides. The heart of the Eventide had changed beyond recognition. Machinery had grotesquely evolved. Cables slithered like tendons, branching and flexing with a grotesque vitality. Engines no longer hummed, but pulsed like throbbing organs. The air reeked of iron and ozone, as if the boundary between metal and flesh had been forever severed. She hesitated, bile rising in her throat, as she watched control interfaces breathe gently, like lungs expanding and contracting in slow rhythm. Every surface was warm to the touch, damp and alive. The jump core itself had taken on a shape that resisted logic, spiraling in and out of itself like a fractal of bone and circuitry. And through this living labyrinth, Kaela felt an immense awareness watching her, not from any direction, but from all directions at once. Then came the thoughts, not her own, but alien intrusions, visions of entire species drawn in by curiosity or necessity. all of them consumed by the thing that lived between realities. Civilizations dissected and reassembled into something less than life, but more than data. Minds folded into the whole. It offered her understanding, communion, and finally peace. Peace through surrender, through the melting away of identity. The voice was not a sound, but an idea implanted with horrifying clarity. You were always part of me. Return. Resolving to prevent humanity from suffering this fate, Kaela activated the distress broadcast. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "This is Dr. Kaela Archer of the exploration vessel Eventide. Do not attempt quantum jumps near the Nebula Z-14 sector. We have encountered a predatory entity inhabiting interstitial space. It assimilates technology, biology, consciousness itself. Please, heed this warning." As the walls around her warped and closed in like the folds of some ancient, slumbering leviathan, Kaela's vision blurred under the pressure of cascading light and collapsing geometry. Reality no longer held form, fracturing like brittle glass into spirals of unfiltered thought and memory. She felt her body stretch beyond physical limitation, atoms unraveling and weaving into an alien tapestry of awareness. There was no pain, only a profound detachment, as if her consciousness were being diluted into something vast, omnipresent, and terrifyingly serene. In her final moment, Kaela understood. She would not die, not in the way humans conceived it. She would persist as a spectral echo within the hive awareness of the entity. Her voice, a fragment in the unending chorus of the Assimilated. Her last transmission continued to ripple outward through broken folds of space-time, reaching no destination and every destination at once, a flickering signal in the dark. It was not just a warning. It was a lament.